So what on earth is a miscellaneous sabzi? Well, let me clarify. Sabzi is the Hindi word for generic vegetable. It's the most basic form of vegetable, Indian vegetable preparation that you can make. Now, miscellaneous is where it starts getting interesting. Miscellaneous is basically making a sabzi based on whatever you have in your kitchen. In this video, I am going to go through the steps involved in making sure you can turn your regular vegetables in your refrigerator into basically dinner. Hello! Welcome to Cooking with Chef Dama. My name is Irfan Dama. On my recent trip to New York, I was at my cousin Vikram's home, and we got together and we grabbed whatever vegetables were in the refrigerator and we put together a delicious sabzi for dinner. I would love to share that experience with you, but also to chime in with the experience is my cousin Vikram. Hey, cousin, how's it going?
It's going well over here.
Cool. That Vikram, that was such an amazing evening. Just gathering together, cutting vegetables, cooking up, and making a vegetable literally out of the most unconventional vegetables that you would use in Indian cooking. We used mushrooms.
Fridge cleanup, whatever was there.
Fridge cleanup, exactly. But we made an Indian sabzi out of mushrooms, carrots, and baby corn. Right?
Mm-hmm.
These don't really, fall under the category of traditional Indian vegetables. But what ended up was something pretty interesting and it's tasty. And that's the thing. When you learn Indian cooking techniques, and you can apply them to any vegetables and you can arrive at something with flavor. And this is what I wanted to run down the process of how we went from fridge cleanup into dinner. So let's go through the steps, shall we?
Let's do it.
Prep is a very important part of any cooking process, and to chefs it is almost considered sacred. It's almost considered sacred. Professional cooks will live and die by their prep, what they call their mise en place, the French term for getting all your food ready, all your prep items ready to go. Your day's operation can either succeed or fail based on how organized you are with your prep. And that having that mindset is very, very helpful when you are cooking at home in your home kitchen.
What was that phrase? Mise en place?
Mise en place. It's French for to put in place.
It's got nothing to do with like having multiple mise in place or anything like that. Mise.
What do you mean by multiple mise? What is mise?
Like mise, like one me, two me, three mise en place.
Like me as in me, I, me, myself, one mise en place? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, two mise, so is that nothing to do with that, right? It's not like putting yourself in multiple mise en place, no? Okay, just checking. I don't know. What do I know about cooking in fancy tales?
Here we've got, you cut up some mushrooms and you cut up some carrots and some baby corn. It'll make a serious dent in your tomato stock. Sometimes I feel it's kind of nice to do. We always resort to going with like onions, ginger, and garlic, and it's always part of most of the recipes. But sometimes it's just fun to just stay away from those flavors and just kind of let the other spices come out. The next thing that's very important, even when you're cooking on the fly, is to have a vision for what you want to see the end result. And your vision is how you want your dish to be, to turn out. You work backwards from there.
I'd like to try a North Indian tempering for this.
In the North Indian genre, I guess we could take out. It's good to have a vision for what you want the dish to end up as. In this case, Our vision was to have something very, very light and very, very simple. And then literally all we went with was cumin seeds, fennel seeds, and red chilies. And that was the primary flavoring in what we made. We didn't want to go with the ginger, we didn't want to go with the garlic, just because it adds great complexity, but it also makes the dish heavy, and we wanted it to be very, very light. What do you think?
Those are almost standard staples, for Indian dishes. Ginger garlic.
It is a standard staple, but I also find that people use it as a go-to. It's like we're making Indian food. We have to reach for the ginger and the garlic. But you can also have very good flavored Indian food without the elements of onion, ginger, and garlic. Without the onion, the ginger, and the garlic to cloud your flavors, you are able to let the taste of the vegetables come through, accented by the light spicing of the cumin seeds, fennel seeds, and the chili flakes.
Okay.
Now that we have decided on the directions that we were going to take, and now that we had our prep in place, now's when the cooking process starts. The first part is the seasoning of the oil, which is where we heat up the saute pan really high, and then we crackle our spices in to flavor that oil. And that part, which we call tadka, right? That tadka is very, very essential, because that flavors, the spices that flavor the oil, flavors the rest of the dish. That's why it's important to get the oil high, but not that high that you scorch it. Once the spices go into the oil, you are now ready to it absorbs the flavor compounds in the spices and transfers that to the vegetables that go in next. Just like that. So you get the full blast of the oil. Once the oil is flavored, we want to make sure that the vegetables cook and develop a little bit of char. You start with medium high. You concentrate the flavors to toast the spices to bring it all together. And as you see, I instructed to leave it undisturbed. Do you know why?
Because no one likes to be jostled about too much.
I mean, that actually is true. It's like when you are jostled about too much, you do get agitated, right? So do the vegetables. By leaving it undisturbed, you will develop a really nice char. You will allow the vegetables to come in contact with the pan and the oil. And yeah, it will get a little char at the bottom. If you constantly jostle it about, you're not giving the vegetables a chance to develop that. Let it char a little bit. It's not, a little char is a good thing. Completely burnt black, of course, is not acceptable.
Yeah, that's me most of the time. Thinking of charring but end up burning. I think I want a nice char because I've, seen that in other food. But how to get the char, I think it's got to be the highest heat, and I think that doesn't work.
You want to leave it at high heat, but not for too long. You want to keep focus. And I'm thinking usually to give you a guide, and you set timers for 2 minutes, and step aside for 2 minutes and see what it looks like. Step aside for 3 minutes, but keep a timer. If we develop that char, combined with the spices, we arrive at an elevated taste. So yeah, we kind of let it saute so let the flavors kind of condense.
Nice aromas on this side.
I'm thinking, I don't even know if I want to add any spice powders to it. I want to keep it that clean.
Let's make this a simple one. Just if you can make sure it's cooked.
Yeah, see what we've got is we've got some nice char on the baby corn. And that's a good thing. You've got some char on the vegetables. That's what makes it. That's what makes it taste. That's what brings out flavor, concentrates the elements. And the only spices we're using here are cumin seeds, fennel seeds, and red chili. And just that itself is giving so much flavor. The tomato will give it some acidity. And then towards the end, if I need, I might just kind of squeeze a lime or so on. And basically that's dinner. Cool. So
That's looking good already.
yeah, see that's where the magic is, right? We put all of these together. We sauteed it. We let the flavors come together. We let it caramelize. We let the tomatoes go, and the tomatoes sort of the moisture from the tomatoes contributed to that bhuna process. And now that we have got the char that we were looking for, now we've got the spices toasted, all of this is done at high heat. Now we have to take the vegetables from that crunchy al dente to being soft and tender. I personally like my vegetables a little more than al dente. I like it I like that to be a slight bite, but not too much of a bite. And the way to get that is to cover it with the lid and let the steam be trapped in the pan. The steam is what will give the moisture to cook the vegetables, and you have to leave it like that for about 8 minutes on medium low. So the steam does the cooking for you. And here we go. Let's see. You see the tomatoes are broken down nicely. There's a nice char on the carrots. There's a nice... That's flavor right there. Then you come to the next stage, which is the finish. And what the finish is putting in that final touch in the dish. What chefs look for as the layers of flavor, this is what the finish does. This is the time when you taste the dish for salt. You finish it with delicate ingredients like in this case, we used dried mint leaves because we were doing a kitchen cleanup operation. But I think it worked pretty nicely. If you had fresh mint leaves or you had cilantro, you would use it at this stage. But you want to use, this is at this stage, at the finish, is when you incorporate the delicate vegetables. You would add in your lime juice at this stage to give it that slight acidic profile, so that it just wakes up that dish and gives it that little edge. This is when me personally, this is when I would add ghee to the dish. I've been told by a chef that I used to work with, that by heating the ghee, you destroy the nutrients. And he was from Punjab, and he goes, in Punjab, we use mustard oil for all our temperings, where you can take it to high heat, but then we will add the ghee only towards the end to finish it, round up the flavors, and you really get that flavor. Ghee is that beautiful enhancer. And this is when you add it in the finish. This is when you add the butter to the finish as well. It gives it a little bit of a creaminess. It gives it a little bit of an edge. And the last part of the cooking process, in my opinion, is the most important, is that rest phase. You cover and you rest and you let the dish kind of come together. That's how food should be consumed. When you let the dish rest, all the steam that is trying to escape from the food just comes back to center, and as it does so, it brings in all those nutrients along with it. So the lime that we squeezed, the ghee that we added, the mint leaves, right? When you are resting it, the steam that is trying to push its way out now starts making its way back in. That's what makes for juicy, tender food. But as the steam goes back, as the steam withdraws to the center, it also brings in those flavor components in. If you don't let your dish rest, you are missing out on a very, very key element of the cooking process. And there you have it. It was something as simple as that. Just using what you have is an important part, because that's what reduces food waste, and it's also very good for the pocket. Because The more you know how to use your leftover sabzi, the less you are spending on New York takeout, my friend. And I know New York
That's true.
New York takeout is not the least bit cheap. That was how we made our miscellaneous sabzi, using just a little technique, using few spices, keeping our vision for how we want the dish to be, spending time allowing flavors to develop, spending time allowing it to steam and cook, and then finally just letting it finish with the delicate ingredients and giving it time to come together. It's pretty much a formula for a surefire successful sabzi. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you have made it this far, thank you for watching. If you like the content and if you like what you are seeing, I encourage you to please subscribe, hit that bell icon so you know when the next video will be out. And I would love to hear from you. So please take a moment to write your comments in the comment section below. It really helps me understand what you, the viewer, wants to see, and it helps me tailor the content of this show to suit what you are looking for. So thank you very much for watching, and Vikram, thank you for being part of the show, and thank you for being an exceptional host and showing me such a wonderful time in New York, man.
It was the
so
delicious
good.
fridge cleanup.
It was my pleasure. So till we see you again in the next video, this is Irfan and Vikram signing out. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.
Bye. Happy eating.
Happy eating. All right. So back to us now. You can swallow. Bugger, you can't stop eating even when you're doing recording here. What am I going to do with you? What am I going to do with you?
2 types of churras. Had to multitask.